Hello everyone, it's Mark Berger coming to you again from the 13th floor on a snowy April day. And today I'm going to show you how to fold an origami chess set, which you can use indoors. It's probably better to use indoors. Outside it would just get wet and blow away. So we're going to be looking at making the different pieces step by step. The first piece we'll make is the pawn, and then using what we learned from the pawn, we'll go and do the rook, and then we'll do the king, and then we'll do the knight, and then we'll do the queen, and we'll finish up with the bishop. So here we go. Now, you should have received in the mail, if you're an E.D.O.S member, a package of square sheets of paper that are white. Half of them are white and half of them are red. And the size, I took 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper and cut them into quarters. So that's the finished size. They're just a little less than 4 1/4 inches on each side. So the first thing that we need to do is, you'll need 48 pieces to fold the whole set, but the nice guy that I am, I put in some extras. I think there's 2 extra whites and 2 extra reds. So that gives you a set of 52. So put 2 of the white and 2 of the reds aside. And then the rest of the work is made up of folding the pieces into preliminary bases. So it would be this size, your finished product. Or bird bases, which are going to be this size. And I'm going to show you on this larger paper. So the best way to go about it is to go ahead and set aside 3 of each white and 3 of each red. That will give you one for the queen and 2 for each bishop, because these are folded a little differently. So the rest of the sheets you should go ahead and fold into a bird base. And if you have any questions on how to do that, or you need a refresher course, I will put in the description below a link to my videos on preliminary bases and also to bird bases. So here we go. We're going to start with the pawn. And it's folded from a bird base. And we're going to take that bird base and lift up the front, and we're going to lift up the back. And now this is what we call a open bird base. And then we're going to do the little dance. We take one flap and fold it over. We flip the model over, and we take the top flap and fold that over. And what that does is it brings the 2 flaps that we folded first into the inside. And now with the 2 exposed flaps, we're going to fold those up too. Okay. So now we have a model. That's, when we open it, it's going to be this X shape in section. But let's go back for a second. Okay, so what we need to do is to take the wing part of the model. Okay, so we're now back to the basic bird base. We're going to lift up a wing, we're going to flip the model over, and do you see this point? This is the top of the back of the bird, if we were to actually make the crane. And we're going to fold the tip down to that. Okay? Then we're going to move it to the other wing, and we fold the tip down to that. So this and this are equal. Okay? Then we're going to go to the other side. We're going to do the all right. So now we're going to take the other side and we're going to fold that to the same point as we folded the other ones. All right. So now with the two that are folded backwards, we're going to fold them like so. And we're going to reverse them like so. Okay, and now we open up the model, and that is our pawn. It's a bit bigger version. Okay, now I'm going to show you a step that we use to make what I call the bases for all the other pieces. You see, there's a stand. For instance, here's the rook, and it's made of two pieces. If we pull it apart, okay, we have a stand piece, which is almost exactly the same as the pawn. And here's how to do that. So we take our bird base again. Someone forgot to fold this complete. Wonder who that could be. Okay, so we have our bird base, and we fold the flap up. We fold the flap up. We do the little dance. And then we fold the remaining two flaps up. Okay, and then we open that up into a X shape. And there we have our stand. Now you notice that it's important when you do the kite folds on the bird base to make sure you're not coming in too close to the center line. It's almost like folding the neck and the tail of the crane itself, because if we get it too tight, then it's hard to open neatly the stand. But since you're folding this from double-sided paper, this white, which shows on this single-sided paper, won't show up on your double-sided paper. So that's the stand. And now we're going to go to the complete rook. And that's, again, we make it exactly another stand. I don't know, who could it be who didn't finish folding these?
No, that was me.
It was you,
Yeah.
Right.
I'll take the blame.
Oh, you'll take the heat?
Yeah.
I think it was me, though,
I
actually.
know.
You know. Funny. Okay, so not as neatly as I'd like, we lifted up the two wings, we do the little dance. Okay, and then we fold these remaining wings up. And we open it up into an X shape. You notice it's exactly the same piece, but we're going to now intermingle the two pieces. And here's how it works. First of all, I recommend that you just make sure that each piece from one side overlaps another, and do that all around the model. It's tricky enough to do it like this, but did you get a good close-up of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you notice there's four sides, and from this side to this side, they're overlapping this side.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is, as you can see on this model, one point goes down and the other point goes up, and they alternate, down, up, down, up. So once we have this made, we're going to carefully lift this flap over, and then we're going to flip it over 180 degrees and do the same thing. And then we want to make sure we haven't gotten anything out of order. And then we're going to push the pieces together as far as they will go. And you'll notice sometimes it gets stuck in these pockets, so carefully go over them and make sure the points are not stuck in the pockets, because that will prevent you from getting this task completed. Okay, so there's the rook. Okay. Now you might want to consider using, I have these smooth-jawed pliers, and I use them to kind of sharpen up the edges. And this is not a specialist origami tool in any way, but I'll put in the description below a full information on this kind of platypus shaped piece. Okay, so there's the rook. And in my demonstration size, and here is the finished product. So you notice it goes down on one side and up on the other. Okay, so that's the rook. And now we're going to do the king. Here we go. So we have another stand, okay? And we have another bird base. Gee, again, it's not folded all the way. Marita and I were busy eating chocolate before we did this film, and, you know, my mind was other places. Okay, so here's the bird base, and the king we don't have to do a whole lot with. We just take the bird base and we open it up in an X shape, much like the stand. And then we take the other stand and we do the same thing. Make sure that they interlock nicely, just from one direction. It's too frustrating to try and do both. And then we carefully do one side, we turn it over 180 degrees. Yeah, 180. Do that to the other side. We make sure that we don't have any of the points tucked into pockets. Boy, that was lucky. Wasn't stuck at all. Okay, so there you see, that's the king piece. Okay? And you can neaten it up with the pliers if you like. This big paper folds pretty well. All right, so in the next part of this video, we're going to do the knight, and then we're going to follow up with the queen and the bishop. Thanks for watching. See you in the next part.